Denmark is the northern green spot of Europe and a part of Scandinavia. 5 million people live in one of the world's strongest economies, with an unemployment rate of 3%. Most women are part of the workforce. Denmark is a large-scale exporter of agricultural products, biotech, design, fashion, technology and windmills. The tradition for educating the people in the country of Hans Christian Andersen is several hundred years old and originated with the adult folk high schools founded by Grundtvig. The educational system in Denmark is open to everybody. The first 10 years of school are compulsory, but a vast majority continue their studies. More than 80% of a birth cohort complete a general or vocational upper secondary education. But the government aims to increase this significantly in the next few years so that 95% of a cohort complete an upper secondary education. We have already seen dropout rates in the vocational sector decline significantly. The learning process starts at preschool age, and we set goals for every child. In the early years of childcare, the children develop their own pace through play and free interaction. Later they are taken forward through more structured yet adaptive and learner-centered didactics. It is important for children to learn, but even more important that they use what they have learned. We focus on competencies rather than skills. It is, however, a challenge for us that 18% of the population haven't completed a general or vocational upper secondary education by the time they are 25. But they get a second, third, and many more chances to catch up. The door to knowledge is always open. In Denmark, adult vocational training is pursued more than in most other countries. A high standard of highly relevant skills and qualifications are taught, ensuring a dynamic labour market. The Danish model of lifelong learning offers opportunities to all adults and contributes to society in the broadest and most vital sense. Initial vocational education and training is dual-based. Education accommodates individuals in an open and inclusive learning environment, far from the uniform concept of the traditional teacher-centered classroom situation. Danish employers are very much aware of their corporate social responsibility. Responsibility for the climate and the environment is evident, but educating and training staff is an increasingly vital component in the scheme for a responsible and ethical corporate code of conduct. The labour market in Denmark is self-regulated and free from state intervention. Conflicts are few due to collective agreements between the unions and employers' organisations. The state, the employers and the trade unions have become educational partners, even though at other times they meet as opponents. The tripartite governance of the entire vocational education and training sector is an impressive cooperative effort to ensure quality, flexibility, synergy and relevance. Together with the famed Danish flexicurity model, this will help Denmark through the economic crisis more rapidly and more smoothly than systems which have failed to implement such features. Trade unions proactively cope with the new technologies, even though this might reduce or even eliminate job slots from which they recruit their members. Parts of the negotiable funds in the collective agreements are earmarked for educational purposes, instead of being used solely to increase workers' wages. The government has decided to top the money that the labour market parties allocate to education by 1-to-1. TDC is an international telecommunications company with 9,000 employees. In the process of readjusting the organisation to the current telecom market, a large group of technicians became redundant. Instead of letting them go, they were offered to retrain to become a new type of digital telecom technology specialists, of which TDC was in urgent need. A special academy was created in cooperation with the vocational education and training centres, and after 3 to 5 months of schooling and workplace learning, the technicians were qualified for their new positions in TDC. Here is Heinrich. While still a mechanic, he began repairing the analog telephone exchanges of the Tele Company in 1986. Today, the systems are all digital. Sir Heinrich added a basic electronics engineer degree to his CV and has over the years switched to an all-round function. Until recently, more than 6% of the Danish workforce could lose their jobs every year. But an equal number found new jobs because of the high mobility in the labour market and the reallocation of human resources. Danish Crown is the biggest slaughterhouse company in Europe and processes more than 20 million pigs a year. Increased efficiency has shut down a number of factories and in 5 years made redundant 5,000 out of a workforce of 15,000. However, until last year, 98% found new jobs, and even in this economic downturn, the number remains around 85%. Nearly 1/3 found work elsewhere in the company, and the rest were helped to move on. Danish Crown has a social plan that is activated as soon as one of the slaughterhouses is going to be closed down. The employee representative is hired to create a job bank and provide all workers with a personal plan. Money is earmarked for relevant courses for everyone. Right now, the slaughterhouse in Holstebro is going through such a process, which will eliminate 475 jobs. Personal talks help everybody to find the relevant retraining for work in the transportation sector, in industry, with social and healthcare, or maintenance work. In Denmark, many paths can lead to the same job. Every employee takes responsibility for his or her own career. Personality and commitment is highly valued because it motivates people to get the training they need. All this gives the Danish labour market tremendous flexibility. The third Assemi will take place in Copenhagen in the spring of 2011. Education ministers from the two regions still have a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to do in order to take the cooperation between our two regions forward. Education is probably the single most important tool to further peace and understanding between cultures. It is the most efficient driver for progress and prosperity for individuals as well as societies. Exchanges and cooperation in the domain of education can make intercultural friendship and understanding flourish where it really matters, among young people. In conjunction with the meeting, there'll be a chance to look deeper into our achievements and strategies. Come to gain new knowledge and be a part of the high-level networks of policymakers and institutions. Our purpose is to facilitate an open atmosphere in the discussions at the conference. Denmark has come far, but aims to become even better. Among the subjects we wish to discuss in a global context are a need for more innovation and entrepreneurship, strong competences in maths, ICT and natural sciences. Welcome to Copenhagen. The city is beautiful, vibrant and safe. Denmark's capital has everything within a short distance. Explore the historical buildings and splendid new architecture. This metropolis lets you experience nature. You can even swim in the clean Copenhagen harbour water. Enjoy the great variety of culture and interesting food, from the famous Danish smorgasbord to the many Michelin-starred restaurants. The Danes are open-minded, inspiring to talk to, and together create a dynamic big city with a human face.